It may not have the best color options on the market, but the Chi GameForce is nothing if not an interesting product from a very small independent team with a rather long development cycle. I first heard of this device back in August of last year, and I was very excited because we didn't have a lot of good competition on the market with 4x3 screens. Obviously the team ran into some bumps along the way, but the Chi GameForce is finally available, and in this video, I'm going to show you all you need to know if you're on the market for one. The GameForce comes with the fabled RK3326 clocked at 1.5 GHz, a Mali G31 MP2 GPU, 1 GB of DDR3L RAM, a 3000 mAh battery, a 3.45-inch IPS display with a resolution of 640 by 480, and 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi. Also included with this device is a green protective carrying case, which is pretty unique at this price point. There aren't many devices that are bundling cases like these under $100. It perfectly fits the device in the bottom half behind these two straps, along with a mesh zipper pocket that holds the Type-C charging cable. Another unique aspect of this device is that it doesn't ship with any storage or games because they really don't want to break any copyright law, which is commendable to say the least. Let's take a look at the device. Obviously this is inspired by the Neogeo Pocket with some significant changes. It has two analog sticks on the bottom that are recessed and slightly pushed towards the center. It has 4 buttons on the bottom ends, and it has a function button below the screen. The D-pad has a slight dip to it like the 3DS D-pad, but this uses conductive rubber with a decent amount of travel. The ABXY buttons are also using conductive rubber with a decent amount of travel and a small amount of side-to-side movement. We have a set of chunky shoulder buttons on the top with a decent click. The analog sticks are the same ones used in other handhelds with the new rubber top material that I haven't seen before. I really like this flat style. It reminds me a lot of the analog tops from the Arcade 2020, but it unfortunately doesn't have click support and there doesn't seem to be a good way of adding it. As I've mentioned, you have a variety of function buttons at the bottom of the device, along with start and select, and you'll use combinations of these to do things like load and save your game states. In the middle, you will have seen that we have transparent circles near the side of the screen, and these are LED indicator lights for connectivity. If you know me, you know I really don't like LED lights on devices, especially if they're pointing directly at the user, but you do have the ability to turn these off. One unique choice that we don't see too often are front-firing speakers on the top of the device. On the bottom, we have a headphone jack, a Type-C port, and a reset switch. At first glance, the back is going to look a little strange to you. We have a slight grip rail on the side with a flat center, but we also have these elongated screw holes that jut out a little. I think these were made so that the device stands up slightly when you have it laying down on a flat surface. If you're worried about this getting in the way of your hands, here's what it looks like when you're holding it. Your fingers should come right up to the ledge and rest nicely against it. You'll also have a slight grip on the side. Finally, there are 3 colors that this comes in, but this candy corn seems to be the better of the bunch. I would have liked this device more if it came in more standard colors. I think the biggest selling points of this device are going to be the form factor and control layout, married with the 4x3 screen that works very well with what this chip is capable of doing. As it stands, we don't have another Landscape 3326 device with a 4x3 screen, so this fills a unique niche in this market. I will just point out that this screen didn't go through an OCA process, so you will be able to see a separation between the front screen and the IPS below. The downside of this is that you can have dust under the screen that you may have to clean down the line. Looking straight at the device in ideal lighting conditions, you won't see too much of a difference, but you might see slightly less deep blacks on your screen. The panel seems to be the same one used in other devices, but not having an OCA process is going to give you a slightly washed out image on extreme diagonal viewing angles. It's a minor benefit with this processor, but the added screen resolution also allows you to upscale some PS1 games for added quality and sharpness. This device is unique because it has official EmuELEC support, but the OS isn't really anything new. You'll have to add all your own games to the system, but the whole thing is really easy to use. I don't think too many people are going to use this because the lights aren't very well contained without some DIY mods, but you do have a ton of color options to choose from. Before moving on, here's a test of the audio quality from the front of the device. Now let's take a look at the inside. We have the whole thing disassembled, and the first thing that I noticed are the LEDs on the PCB. If you wanted to DIY this, you could add a little more diffusion to these to improve how they look in the dark. One of the cool things about this device is that it comes with dual rumble motors on the palm rest, and this is very uncommon in this market, and the speakers are much bigger than I thought they would be. That's enough about the hardware and software of the device. Let's now take a look at what you can do with the GameForce. Again, this device doesn't come with any games, so you will have to be comfortable with adding your own before you buy this. First up, we have NES. Systems like this are going to be the bread and butter of this device, since they really shine on a 4x3 screen. I'll also mention that I'll have the full list of the games tested in this video in the pinned comment below if you want to check out anything that you see here. Similarly, we have SNES, which is one of my favorite systems. I got to play through a bunch of games that I've never tried before while making this video. N64 has always been more miss than hit on 3326, and there's no change with this device. You are going to be limited more so than normal due to the firmware, but in either case, you're going to be regulated to easy to run games. This isn't the ideal system for handheld systems, as there are other 3326 devices that at least properly support GBA, but this doesn't do a bad job if you can put up with stretched scaling. Back over to home consoles, and we have another system that really shines on this chip with Sega Genesis. There's also a lot of good Sega CD games that can take advantage of the GameForce. Just like N64, Dreamcast is going to be more miss than hit on 3326, so I wouldn't pick up this device if that's a system that you really want to emulate. Moving on, here we have Neogeo running flawlessly. I wanted to see if the vibration motors really work, and I was able to verify that they do. There just isn't a whole lot that can take advantage of them. Here's PS1 running without issues. Finally, we have PSP. This is also going to be a mixed bag, but the 3326 can run a decent amount of games if you can deal with black borders. That's it for this first look at the Qi GameForce. If you want to buy one, you can find a non-affiliate link to their shop in the description box below. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, and while you're there, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel to help support my work. I'll catch you next time. Taki out.